It's 2:43 on a Tuesday. We came to work today at 3:30. So far we've done 9 container movements and we've driven 233 miles. We just finished up our 9th movement, dropped off empty here at the shipping terminal. Kind of curious as to what's next. Yeah, they needed an empty can in the yard, but then they called me when I was headed towards the yard with the empty and said, bring it into the shipping terminal, because if you come here, we're not going to be able to get you to the shipping terminal in time probably, and we need to get this container out, which is a container for the big bucks. So let's go get that. Bravo 14, stall 25. We're in Alpha 11. It's been a pretty nice day. The last few days I've been listening to music. No, it was just today. I didn't listen to music yesterday. But when I put the music on, I just put my head down and get busy. Bravo 14 here, stall 25. We're in Alpha 14, across this line right here. Now we're in Bravo 14. 25 on the right. Should be at 45. 463 657 463 980. It's installed 27. So it wasn't in the right stall, but it's in the right neighborhood. Oh my goodness, how dirty that window is. It was raining this morning. Probably why I didn't get the camera out. 463 980. So let's do a little investigating and see if we can find anything wrong with this container. Hopefully not. It's already been a 12-hour day. We don't need it to be much longer. This will be the 10th movement of the day. limited quantity, non-flammable gas, just like a fire extinguisher. Number 9 is usually like lithium batteries. It's also used for vehicles. If you have a vehicle in there. When we check out, the clerk is going to give us paperwork with all the hazmat. Lets us know what we're carrying. And with the big box limited quantity stickers, it's usually a couple pages of stuff. So I don't know why they do this, all these extra wires, but it seems somebody on the mainland at the big box is always adding some wires to the container. Seal. Lights are good. That one's not good. See that? It's more than likely not plugged in. This is why you should wear gloves. Not plugged in. There's the plug. There we go. Interesting. And again, check what's going on here in a minute. Yeah. For some reason, the locking pin is right behind the light, so you got to make sure that when you put this in, you turn it so this locking pin won't hit it. And that's what's been going on. Now that we know what the problem is, we can fix it. But it's getting caught on this piece. What the Leatherman's good for, fixing these pins. It came off again. There we go. I think as long as nobody sneezes, it'll stay on. Okay. Some people carry spray adhesive to help battle the sloppy placards, but I find if you just wipe them down a little bit, it seems to work. Pinched so many nerves cranking up landing gears over the years. Good. We are good to go. Now we gotta wipe our hands. So that took 12 minutes and 43 seconds. Multiply that by 10. That's how much time is spent just checking containers every day. I think it's like a quarter of my day. Feels like it sometimes. My day feels like a quarter of the day is spent pre-tripping and fixing things. A quarter of the day is spent doing paperwork. A quarter of the day is spent waiting in lines. And then a quarter of the day is spent actually driving. Which is what we're doing now, and this is the part I like the best. Shipping terminal closes in 48 minutes. Make our way out of the shipping terminal. container back to our terminal, 4 miles away. 4 miles, 10 lights. Normally takes 15 minutes. On the weekends when there's no traffic, it takes 10 minutes. Like yesterday, we have nothing but good runs today. Out to the Campbell, out to Campbell, out to Campbell, out to Colina. I think it was last week, Tuesday, we stayed hooked up to the big box container and took it out to Kailua. I don't know if that's going to happen this week. I'm hoping not. Terminal's coming along. Seems like they're doing a lot of earthwork right now. Moving a lot of dirt around. About a quarter to a third of the area where the new shipping terminal is used to be water. It's been filled in. And I'm thinking that all the dirt was placed on top of that area where there was water just to squeeze out the water. It doesn't seem like they're doing the dredging that they were doing before. Of course, you never know why. There could be mechanical reasons for that. One of the things I like about this job, drive all over the island all day long. You get to see what's going on and try to figure things out. Listen for things in the news. Look things up on the internet. I'm guessing people are getting off work. This is the beginning of rush hour. Along with an industrial area, there's also a Coast Guard base and a wastewater treatment facility. A couple of big construction projects going on there. up on the curb to be safe. Back when I was a garbage truck driver, I did that once. I kind of went up on the curb to get around a car, and the curb caught the tire on the garbage truck and forced it down, and the truck slid sideways into the car I was passing. And then they were so tight together that we didn't want to move it, because if we moved it all, it would have done greater damage. So we called him a mechanic. He came out with a one of those rolling jacks. We jacked up his truck and it slid sideways away from the garbage truck. Still did a little bit of damage though. So we don't want to do that again. Now, can we get onto the road with all this traffic? Yes, we can. Guys who pick up the garbage from the homeless people, let us in. Talk about a noble job that nobody wants to do. Hawaii has one of the largest homeless populations per capita. I mean, there's only like 3,000 or 4,000 of them, but per capita it's the highest in the nation. And most homeless encampments, you know, run on garbage. They go and pick through garbage and then they gather it and use it for building the, you know, the homeless condo. And then eventually the neighborhood complains, and the guys that are behind us will come with their truck and a bunch of big strong guys and stand around and say, you gotta move, you gotta leave, anything left behind we're throwing away. That's what they do all day long, just chase the homeless from one part of the city to the other. It doesn't seem like a viable solution, but that's what they're doing here in Hawaii. It's one of the big things that's always in the news in Hawaii, the homeless population. They're probably responsible for the graffiti here on the right. Leads to graffiti, which is a form of vandalism. And vandalism, when it's left untreated, becomes more and more of a problem. Guys going around picking up the garbage and painting over the graffiti. It's one of those big city problems. Honolulu supposedly is either the 10th or the 11th largest city in the United States with 1 million people. I know it's one of the more densely populated cities in the United States. It's like in the top 5 or so. When we go to the Virgin Islands, you're going to see what no flat land is like, where you got to, if you got to walk 100 yards, you got to go up and over a hill. Okay, now we got to get to the left. There's a bus. And a bicycle. Happens when people try to make the left turn into FedEx, even though there's not that many cars to the left of us here. They're backed up from the red Mercedes waiting to make a left turn into FedEx. There he goes. Just in time for the red light. Well, the red Jeep's going over there too. Huh. Footer, stay wide. So yeah, we have a little homeless encampment that's growing outside of our terminal. It started with this, what do you call the little camper Volkswagen buses? And then another similar camper van showed up behind that, and then another car showed up behind that, and now there's another car behind that. So there's 4 of them now. They're homeless. But I went by the other day, and the first Volkswagen camper van looks like they dropped the engine out of it, and we're working on the engine. I'm thinking to myself, what are the chances of these homeless guys fixing the engine? Because my guess is the debris guys are going to be calling for a tow truck and having that thing towed away. There's no license plates on it or anything. fact, I don't know if any of the cars have license. No, the two cars that showed up just recently have license, but the other two do not. No, one of them has a Washington State license plate. The other one does not. That's what's going on in the neighborhood outside the terminal. You'll see them as we go by. This neighborhood is a little bit of an epicenter for the homeless, though, because 2 blocks away is one of the big food banks or soup kitchens where they feed the homeless. So there's a few hundred that hang out in this neighborhood just to be close to the food. Cars left, so we got a van and 2 full train vans. I'm going to try to put it right here in front. Let's see if this will work. And nobody's here. Something about this flat ground that pinches the kingpin and then you can't release it. Make my way into my fort here. What this reminds me of. know a lot of truckers who can't do this, but I'm 65 and I can, so I'm not going to stop. Freight coming in from the neighbor islands. Let's see what dispatch is going to do now. It's 3:22. Hello, bobtailing in the yard. Good night. Bye. Yeah. So there's a platform in the yard that was supposed to be shipped to a neighbor island, and it's got this huge section of chain. This is not normal chain. This is, each length is about that big. And so they laid it out on top of a platform and then strapped it down. I saw one of my co-workers taking it into Youngblood, to the in-island shipping terminal. Now it's in our yard, which means they didn't like the way it was strapped down. So I just saw somebody I didn't recognize here looking at it, and it looks like they've added a few more straps. Yeah. 3 times what it had on before. The problem is the chain is so heavy that that flat rack flipped over or fell on its side, the chain would just fall right off of it. So I'm off tomorrow. Try to park over here where I won't get in the way. Yeah, I don't know how they're going to get that. It has to be chained down. They're using straps. I think they don't use chain. I don't know if they're ever going to get it to pass. That's my feeling if they ask me. Because the straps are good to 5,000 pounds, but the chains are good to like 20, I think. I don't know. It's up to the shipping terminal to make the call. I don't know how heavy it is. That's the other thing. How heavy is that? Anyway, we're going to shut it down here in a minute. Just got to finish up the paperwork. Head on home. We're off tomorrow, Wednesday. And then we'll be back on Thursday. As far as dinner, we had the pork chops last night with some leftovers, and we made a salad, but I had somebody was asking for, my wife was asking for the roasted vegetables, so we're going to do that again. It was pretty we gotta get rid of the Brussels sprouts. But that is it for today. Thanks for watching.